Just as freshly born babies yearn for the unblemished milk of the Word. Alleluia. That you may mature into salvation. Alleluia. Sing to the Lord who is our help. Cry aloud to the God of Jacob. In tribulation you called upon me, and I delivered you. I heard you hidden in the storm. For I am the Lord, your God, who raised you up out of Egypt. Open wide your mouth, and I will fill it with honey from the rock. Just as freshly born babies yearn for the unblemished milk of the Word. Alleluia. That you may mature into salvation. Alleluia.
Thomas, like a newborn baby, longed for the unblemished spiritual milk of the Word. That's all he had. The Word. That's all they ever had. That's all they ever needed. Even though Christ was the great teacher, his teaching was only upheld by the Word, by the Scriptures. Thomas had heard the poems that were circulating among the apostles, that Christ was the Word, that in fact he was the Word made flesh. Thomas liked the poems, but that's all they were to him. Poetry. They spoke to emotions, not to truths, not to facts, not to historical evidence. He ran away when the teacher was arrested, but so did everyone else. He still had the Word. That was sufficient. He had heard the new poems that were circulating among the disciples, that Christ was risen from the grave. But that's all they were. Poems. They didn't convey truths, demonstrable, historical facts. But the disciples insisted, saying that they had seen the Lord. Thomas replied brashly, "Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands, and put my fingers in the mark of the nails, and my hand in his side, I will not believe." But his voice shook when he said this. It wasn't so much that he disbelieved, but that he was driven to the depths of sorrow. Why wasn't he there on Easter Day? Why wasn't he counted as worthy to see the risen Lord? He knew, deep down, that Jesus was life. And he knew that Jesus had the power to defeat death. The words of the teacher on the night he was betrayed echoed in Thomas's head. My children, a little while, and you will no longer see me. And again a little while, and you will see me, and your heart will rejoice. Thomas was angry. He wanted to see the Lord again. He wanted his heart to rejoice. But when he tried to speak this anger and frustration, all that came out of his mouth was, "I will not believe." Thomas spent the coming days growing in his anger, growing in jealousy of the faith of the other apostles, growing in his doubt. He believed the word, that is, he trusted in the scriptures. And when he really thought about it, he supposed that he did believe that Jesus was that same word. And in some mysterious way, he could confess that Jesus was the Word made flesh. But he was still angry. He wanted to see. He was supposed to see Jesus. In these days, which stretched on for an eternity, Thomas wrote his own creed. As the other 10 apostles sought to codify their teachings, Thomas could only muster one line over and over again: "Unless I see, I will not believe." And yet, in the midst of unbelief, or sorrow, or despair, or angst, or fury, or whatever it may have been, Thomas did amend his ways, and he met with the brothers. And on the 8th day, Jesus appeared. "Peace," the teacher said to the apostles. "Peace," the teacher said to Thomas. "Peace," the teacher says to all those who in the coming years would no longer yearn for the unblemished milk of the word, but instead long for a sign, for a miracle, for historical proof. "Peace be to you." Thomas asked, and so he received. Jesus presented his hands to be touched, the icons through which the sins of the world were pounded into the flesh of God. Jesus presented his side to be gazed upon, the spigot out of which poured the river of life. And Thomas abandoned his old, apostate creed. He adopted a new one, a simple one that would last into the ages of ages, a creed that would rest on the lips of all those who in their own day would take the flesh of Jesus into their hands. My Lord and my God. Thomas's eyes were full of the divine majesty, and so his belly was filled with the unblemished milk of the Word. Not only the Word as it is found in ink on paper, but the Word as it is found in bone and sinew. Indeed, the Word had become flesh, and now the Word, risen from the grave, stood before Thomas. My Lord and my God. Thomas saw the Word and believed. Blessed are those who yearn for the unblemished milk of the Word. Blessed are those who hear and believe, the teacher said to the apostles. Blessed are those who hear and believe, the teacher said to Thomas. Blessed are those who hear and believe, the teacher says to all those who in the coming years yearn for the unblemished milk of the Word, and so fill their bellies through their ears and hold fast to the teaching of the apostles. Blessed are those who hear and believe.
Just as freshly born babies yearn for the unblemished